The life story of JW Marriott, the genius behind one of the world's largest and most influential hospitality, hotel chains, and food service companies, gives a clear-cut picture of what it takes to attain significance and fulfill all your dreams. Stay till the end because we'll be unveiling the rags-to-riches story of JW Marriott and the various factors that played out in his journey toward greatness. JW Marriott was born into the family of Hiram Willard Marriott and Ellen Morris Marriott at Marriott Settlement, Utah. He was the oldest of 7 siblings and had the unique responsibility of raising sugar beets and sheep on his family's farm as a child. As a young boy, he quickly learned how to work hard and take responsibility. At age 13, Marriott raised lettuce on several fallow acres on the farm, and the harvest at summer's end brought $2,000, which Marriott gave to his father. "My father gave me the responsibility of a man," said Marriott many years later. "He would tell me what he wanted done, but he never said much about how to do it. It was up to me to find out for myself." Not up to a year later, his father would entrust him with the sale of a herd of 3,000 sheep, sending him and the sheep unescorted by rail to San Francisco. However, due to the high demand placed on him, he never graduated from high school. At age 19, he was called on a church mission, providing him with the welcome opportunity to leave the farm and spend 2 years on the East Coast, preaching the gospel from Washington, D.C. to Maine. During this time, he made a discovery that would later become an advantage for him in business. On his return, he saw that things had gone sour for his dad. His father had become bankrupt, and so he knew that at this time, he needed to go harder on himself. He returned to school, and fortunately for him, he was admitted to Weber College, even though he never had a high school diploma, all because he was really good at talking. Marriott was one of a kind. In his second year, he was the salesman and writer for the newspaper, the manager and stock boy for the bookstore, an English teacher, and the senior class president. This simply showed his eagerness to succeed in life. Successful people keep moving. They make mistakes, but they never quit. This was his idea of success. It was said that he took after his grandmother, Elizabeth Stewart, who was a very strong-willed woman who had also experienced her fair share of struggles. In 1923, JW graduated from Weber Junior College and soon after transferred to the University of Utah, where he earned a bachelor's degree 3 years later. During this time, he did different jobs in order to fend for himself, one of which was the sale of black wool long underwear produced by a Utah woolen mill. He proved himself to be a sales giant when he developed a special selling strategy that earned him the title of most productive salesman in the company that year. Marriott would go into the Northwest logging camps and sell this underwear for $20 a pair, which at the time was a huge amount of money. He would walk up to 2 mean-looking lumberjacks and challenge them, saying, "Each of you, take a leg of this pair of underwear. If you can pull this underwear apart, I'll give you a free pair. If you can't, you've got to buy it." The loggers would then have a tug-of-war but could never tear the underwear apart. This was how he made $2,000 in commission during a single summer. It became clear that he was going to become a successful salesman. However, this was not the only success he was going to achieve, because, as it turns out, he was also successful in finding the right woman to marry. At the University of Utah, he met a young lady named Alice Sheets. She was 18 years old and in her junior year. On one of their first dates, he took her to a little restaurant in the center of Salt Lake City. It was a small orange and black box building selling one item, A&W root beer. On getting there, he was amazed to see the number of people queued up just to get a cold glass of A&W root beer. He immediately put on his thinking hat. In his 2-year trip to Washington, D.C., he remembered how tourists and pedestrians sweltered and sweated in the sultry and humid air over there. It would be a perfect location to market this product, he thought. For him, this was a revelation. With so much excitement, he jumped on a train and headed for Sacramento, California to talk to Roy Allen, the A in A&W. In 1927, having obtained franchise rights from A&W Root Beer for Washington, D.C., he proposed to Alice and told her he would be back to marry her when she graduated. A few months later, they got married. With that settled, they moved to Washington, D.C. to start something that they would later be recognized for globally, Marriott International. Marriott International started as a 9-seat A&W root beer stand in Washington, D.C. In 1927, JW Marriott began his business with partner Hugh Colton, who, after 1 year, moved back to Utah, leaving newlyweds JW and Alice Marriott to grow their business. They initially enjoyed a high profit from their business and gained faithful customers. However, they soon realized the seasonal nature of their business. No one wanted ice-cold root beer on a cold and rainy season. With the approach of cooler autumn months, some customers advised Marriott, "Hey, you better get something hot in here to eat or you're going to be out of business." This was a wake-up call for JW Marriott. However, Alice came up with an idea. Aside from being of tremendous help to Marriott by keeping the books for their new 9-seat restaurant, she decided to learn a new recipe that would save their business in the cold season. Close to where they lived was the Mexican embassy. Alice went over there and befriended the chef at the embassy. He gave her his recipe for chili and hot tamales. After getting approval from Roy Allen, Bill started to sell food in the restaurant. This was what gave birth to the then-renowned Hot Shop. After getting permission from A&W to serve hot food, they served root beer, hot tamales, and chili in what was now a real restaurant. Marriott was always on the lookout for ways to improve his company. In 1928, the third Hot Shop was opened in Washington, D.C., becoming the first drive-in restaurant on the East Coast. JW bought a vacant lot next to one of his hot shops, removed the curb, and began offering the first drive-in service on the East Coast. This drew so much attention to the company. Since then, Hot Shops experienced tremendous growth and expansion, offering new features and products that keep it the #1 choice for many customers. One of them was the in-flight catering service that started in 1937. It proved truly successful, as this division was part of the company until 1989. Another was the sale of a new sandwich, considered the first double-decker hamburger on the East Coast in 1955. Change was a constant in this company. In 1953, Hot Shop Incorporated became a public company, offering stock for $10.25 per share. The stock was sold out in 2 hours. In 1955, Hot Shops Inc. moved to Montgomery County, Maryland. After 28 years of being headquartered in Washington, D.C., it was renamed Marriott Corporation in 1967. When asked, "What's the secret to your success?" JW Marriott invariably responded that 3 elements were integral to his success. 1. Being born right. 2. Developing good habits. And 3. Marrying right. This, however, was only the beginning of success for JW Marriott, as he would go on to expand Hot Shop to what is today earned global recognition. Growing up as the eldest son with a lot depending on him, Marriott became a risk-taker and in turn developed the take-charge attitude that would later be seen throughout his life. This is clearly seen in the establishment of the Marriott Hotel. The early 1950s were a unique period in Washington, D.C. Travel was on the rise, and experts predicted that jets would be flying in and out of the Washington National Airport. JW saw this as an opportunity to establish a hotel and took advantage of it. Just a few kilometers away was a large piece of land that he had bought 3 years earlier. He thought within himself that travelers would want to stay somewhere close by, and so did what many would shy away from, taking a risk. Prior to this time, he had little or no knowledge of how to run a motel. However, he considered this an extension of Hot Shop's care for families on the go. Marriott, Alice, and their son, Bill Jr., launched into this project. Wait, I forgot to tell you that Marriott and his wife, Alice, had 2 sons, Bill and Richard. Bill Jr. was about 25 years old when this hotel idea came up. Back to our story. Having so little knowledge of this industry, they would often stay up all night, redecorating and repainting the motel as it was being built. In 1957, the first Marriott Hotel, actually a motel, was officially opened. It was called the Twin Bridges Motor Hotel, located in Arlington, Virginia. It cost $9 per night, plus an extra $1 for every person in the car. With a total of 370 rooms, it was the largest motel in the world. This was an outstanding achievement by JW Marriott. However, trouble soon came with the approach of winter. It became so bad that Marriott could only afford to keep 1 elevator running. Everything became worse by the day. "I don't know what to do with this motel," Bill said to his son, Bill Jr. "Why don't you let me run it and I'll learn?" "You don't know anything about the motel business." "Well, neither does anybody else around here." "Fine, go ahead." This decision by JW Marriott had great implications for the company. Equipped with a degree in finance and banking, along with his years of experience working for the family business since age 14, Bill Jr. was eager to succeed. He never hesitated to take on any task, including cooking burgers and mopping floors. However, under Bill Jr.'s management, the motel became more profitable. Various competitive services were included, such as a reservation system, restaurants, meeting rooms, and even an ice skating rink. Marriott was the first hotel company to offer online reservations in 1995. With the success of their first hostel, Bill Jr. went ahead to open a second motel 2 years later. He called it Key Bridge Motor Hotel. Later, his father changed the business name to Marriott. Impressed by his son's success, Marriott made him the president and later the CEO. Bill Jr. showed exceptional leadership throughout his time. This was evident in the continuous growth of the company. By the time Marriott died in 1985, the company operated 1,400 restaurants and 143 hotels and resorts worldwide, including 2 theme parks, earning $4.5 billion in revenue annually with 154,600 employees. In 1981, Marriott's 100th hotel, the Maui Marriott Resort, opened in Hawaii, and in 1989, the company's 500th hotel, the Warsaw Marriott, opened in Poland. The company has since experienced sporadic growth. In 1993, Marriott Corporation split into 2 companies, Marriott International Incorporated, which franchises and manages properties, and Host Marriott Corporation, which owns properties. Arne Sorensen took over leadership as the president and CEO of Marriott International in 2012, with Bill Marriott Jr. becoming the executive chairman and chairman of the board. Today, Marriott stands as the largest hotel chain in the world by the number of available rooms. It's an international empire that owns dozens of luxury brands, including the Ritz-Carlton, W Hotels, St. Regis, Sheraton, and many more. It has 31 brands and 8,000 properties containing 1,423,044 rooms in 139 countries and territories. Now, if you enjoyed this story of Marriott, you're gonna love the crazy story of Pagani, which you can watch right here. That's all from me for now. I'll see you in this next video in just a second. Ciao.